my name is Beth Clark, and I am the Senior Director of Digital Leadership and Learning at CISA 2. And I am so pleased to be here with you today to share about the ISTE certification. So let's take a look at the team first. You'll find here my information right up here on the left. And then Amy also is a trainer, and she is the technology director in the Sturgeon Bay School District. And Valerie Schmitz is also a trainer, and she's the senior director of the Continuous Improvement and Implementation Center of Excellence at CISA 2. You'll see here on the left bottom, if you want to pause this video, you can actually get a copy of this presentation for further information and links. So first of all, I like to start with this video.
Honey, what are you doing? We gotta go?
It's dressed like a President Day. I'm supposed to be Martin Van Buren.
Who?
Martin Van Buren.
Google Martin Van Buren.
I love that video, just in that this is the power of technology, right? We can reference anything, it's at our fingertips. And look at how she got that costume ready, even got the sewing machine out before she had to be at school. So it's just the power of technology now and what we are able to do with devices and intentional use of those devices as we are thinking about our learning goals with our students and the students' needs. So I love this quote by Katie Martin, and this is out of the Learner-Centered Innovation book. And she says, today's technology provides easy access to answers, just like we saw. But if we focus only on the answers and not on thinking, questioning, and solving, we rob students and ourselves of great learning experiences. Perhaps more significantly, we fail to develop the critical behaviors that will empower them and us to be lifelong learners. So what I want you to know is that when I saw this quote here from Katie, immediately I thought about the ISTE educator certification, and that is because what we do is we ground all of our work in pedagogy, instructional methodology, and that using technology and leveraging those technologies to help support that, to enhance, enrich all of those learning experiences, not only for us as educators, but also for those students, more importantly, for our students to become lifelong learners. And so taking a look at those learners that we were just talking about, you're going to see here, and you can pause the video if you want to take a look at this a little bit longer. But our modern learners, what we really need to be grounding ourselves in as we start going into this work is, how do we serve the learners that are coming to us, so our clientele, and really get to know about who they are and what they need so that we can help support them, and then use the most appropriate tools to meet their needs. You'll take a look here. This is Gen Z. So we've been working with Gen Z students for a while. So you can take a look at some of those characteristics here. So you'll see one of the interesting pieces is like effective engagement. You know, they really like to see visuals. They like to try things and see. They like to be a facilitator and really know the process of how things are going. They like to be learner-centric. And they have an open book to the world. So just looking at that little piece of information and reflecting on our practice makes us think, what can I do to help support those learners? Now, those were kids who were born up until 2009. The next generation is called the Alpha generation. And so thinking about those who were born in 2010 and beyond. And so when we start to look at them, they are much more global. You'll see that. You'll see some technologies that they have access to. And it's super interesting as you start looking at this timeline down here. So this outgoing technology, these are some of the technologies that we may be accustomed to, but we're not going to be seeing that anymore, but these incoming technologies are going to be super, super important. And you'll see here 2022, we've been talking about autonomous vehicles for a very long time. They're coming. It's going to be here before we know it. We're talking about AI, artificial intelligence. These kids are going to be growing up with those kind of things at their fingertips. So just thinking about what kind of learners they're going to be and what they'll be bringing to our table will be super important. And then this, just one more quick one. I love the comparison of Generation Y, Z, and then Gen Alpha. Take a look at, I just love these little, even the vehicle visuals right here. So we've got the Prius, then the Tesla, and then we're going to go to that autonomous vehicle. Take a look at the BMX, the folding scooter, and the fidget spinner, right? So thinking about what our students have at their fingertips and what we do too as educators and how we can leverage those, and not to look at it as it's bad as we're moving through, but it's just different, right? These characteristics here on the bottom are what we really need to key into. So inspiring, they want to be inspired, they want to be a co-creator, so creating things. They're virtual. We know we've all been immersed in that virtual piece. Chatbots are so interesting, and how can we leverage that in education? So then we start to think about now the educator. So now that we've learned a little bit about our learners, now let's think about how we can stretch our practice. So keep those things that are super important and will meet the needs of our learners that are coming to us. Abandon those things that may not anymore, just like we saw the incoming technology and the outgoing technology. We can do that with our practice as well. And so what are we looking at as an educator? So you take a look at this visual here, and you can start to think about what are some of those characteristics of a modern educator. So invite mistakes into their lives. So we know with the growth mindset that we're going to make mistakes, and from those mistakes we learn and we continue to grow and we continue to learn. Step outside of our comfort zone. How do we do that? Well, we sure have been working on that for sure in this last year for sure. Allowing students to have time to teach each other, embrace change, my goodness, right? Question everything, not question it like, you know, judgment question, but actually invite some of that inquiry in, like, how does that work? Tell me more about that. Believe you can learn anything and have the right attitude. So anyway, go ahead, you can pause this video. I invite you to do that. Take a look at this. Where are some of those characteristics or mindsets that are working for you? What are some areas you want to work on? And that's what that ISTE certification is all about, is that stretch. You'll take a look here at teachers' jobs to be done. Now that's kind of an interesting title. This is out of the Christensen Institute. And there's a jobs to be done theory. And so basically, this is a teacher's, they've done a lot of research, and this is a teacher's kind of like what they aspire, right? So when you're doing the job of an educator, you want to lead the way in improving your school. You want to engage and challenge more of your students in a more manageable way. You want to replace a broken instructional model so that you can reach each and every student. And you don't want to fall behind on a school's new initiative. So what research has found is that teachers who want to engage in learning typically have one of these 4 reasons to do that. So as you start thinking about the ISTE certification, you can start thinking about, what is my reason? Because you want to improve the instruction or the educational environment for your students. Let's do it, and let's do it together. Now, this is something I created after being in years of instructional technology. And what I find is that there are 3 stages for transformation as far as an educator goes. So the first stage, when you are implementing any kind of digital resource or tool, you have to explore and know the tool. And I equate this as to thinking about a toolbox. So if you don't know how to use a screwdriver, you can't use it to help support or create anything, right? So what you are doing is you're creating this toolbox of digital tools and resources, and you have to have time to learn those specific tools. If you don't know the functionality of how to use Google Classroom, you're not going to be able to access and leverage that for your students in order for them to grow. Or for example, something called WeVideo. If you don't know the functionality of that, you might not be able to say, well, WeVideo would be a really great tool for you to use or suggest it for your students. You'll see how that'll change in transformation, and we'll get there in just a moment. So we really need to learn how to use those tools and their capacity. Stage 2 is really, now that you know some of the tools function, is really connecting that to your curriculum and making sure that you are dovetailing these digital tools in. So if you want to do a brainstorming activity, you might use something like a Padlet or a Jamboard or something like that. So you're making these digital connections that will work for the instruction of your learning goals. Now that you know how to use them, you have your learning goals, you're matching those together for success, right? That's success criteria. The third stage, now that you have all of that going, is transformation. And that's where we get that learner agency, where the students, now we're creating this environment that is more learner centric. And the students are telling you, I know how to use WeVideo. I would like to use that to show you what I know and understand from our learning goals. I would like to take this path of using this tool to track my progress because I know it's the best tool for my learning outcome. So what you start to do is create this environment now where students will be actually bringing tools to you and sharing tools that will work for them. And there's a whole process of this, and you see that right here. We talk a lot about this as we go through our ISTE certification and how we can make this evolution. So one thing I'd like us to do too, now that we've taken a look at the students, we take a look at our teaching, our methodology, then the next thing I want to do is connect it to our local piece, which is Wisconsin. And at the center of Wisconsin's digital learning plan, you'll see equitable, personalized, applied, and engaged learning. And that is our goal. And as you go through the different modules and sections of the ISTE certification, and then you build your portfolio, you are going to find that you are going to be connecting those pieces, those learning experiences and artifacts to create a learning environment that is equitable, personalized, applied, and engaged. Now with that, you're going to see that the ISTE student standards look like this. There are 7 of them. And these are standards, or I like to say aspirations for students to become. So we want them to become a digital citizen. We want them to become a knowledge constructor. We want them to become innovative designers. These are all skills that are research-based, or I should say aspirations, characteristics that are going to help support students as they go out into the world of work and becoming a good citizen. So when we take a look at these, our connection to Wisconsin, this is our Wisconsin Digital Learning Plan. What we have done is we have created information and technology literacy standards that are built upon those ISTE student standards. So we're making those connections. So as you go through the ISTE certification, you will find that we're making these international standards connect locally so that that combination will be meeting the standards that we have in our state. And even better than that, creating students who are innovative design thinkers, who are collaborating globally, who can create, communicate in effective ways, who are building things. I mean, it's just absolutely phenomenal. So as we take a look at our student standards here that we just talked about, or you could say our ITL standards from Wisconsin, and make those connections, you're going to see that the ISTE educator standards look like this. So these standards here hug, and I'll talk more about that, your student standards. So as we go into the ISTE certification process, we talk about a learner, a leader, citizen, collaborator, designer, facilitator, and an analyst, those 7 standards. And what we do is when we are building artifacts for each of these standards here, they wrap around what we're doing with our learners here. So how we build these are directly connected to our educator standards. So as we go through the certification, we will be focusing on these standards, the educator standards, but just note that those standards support your student standards, of course. I also want you to note that this is not just for educators. This is for leaders, coaches, library media specialists. So when you think of, we're all educators, right? And so these standards are great for any role that you take on in a school to support students. So you can see here, our ISTE student standards are hugged by our standards for educators. So when we think about this ISTE certification and these standards, we think about why are these even important and how are these standards relevant to you? And I just kind of talked about that with you, right? So I want you just to reflect on that. As I said, how these the student standards really are aspirations, right? We want our students to graduate from our school systems having all of the skill set of all of those standards. So why are these standards important to you? Why are they relevant? And I just talked a little bit about that. When we think about these standards, think about, first of all, the student standards and those aspirations, right? We want every student to graduate from our educational systems with those kind of characteristics. And we want to have each educator to have that skill set to support those aspirations. And then we want to use those digital tools to help support, right? We want to make sure we're leveraging any tool that we possibly can so that students can be successful and meet the learning goals, but more than that, become lifelong learners. We want them to have agency. We want them to be expert learners about themselves. So what does this certification structure look like? So there's a new curriculum, and I'm so pumped about the new curriculum. So as we take a look at that new curriculum, it is actually, the first section is about 10 to 14 weeks of asynchronous and synchronous sessions. So we start with some pre-work, which is asynchronous. And then we go into 5 synchronous sessions. And in between those synchronous sessions, we have asynchronous work. And typically it's about 2 to 3 weeks between those synchronous sessions. And those are 2-hour sessions that are done on Zoom. So the asynchronous work, you could actually work with a partner if you have somebody who is doing the ISTE certification with you, or a learning team member from the certification, or it can be total independent work and you can get that done. So I love that. So we'll be doing synchronous and asynchronous work together. And then after we're done with that, we move right into the portfolio. Now you can have up to 6 months to submit artifacts, and there's about 25 different artifacts that you will submit, not 25 artifacts, 25 criteria that you will submit artifacts to. And ISTE certification looks for between 9 and 14 artifacts. So you can use artifacts over and over to connect to or align to those different criteria. If you need more than 6 months, you can ask for an extension that is an extra $25. And just so you know, the ISTE portfolio is evaluated from ISTE. That is not something that CISA 2 will do. We actually support the 14-week training, the async and synchronous work. And we also support you when you're going through your portfolio. So if you need any suggestions on your portfolio or you have questions, we are totally there for you the whole process, but we do not evaluate portfolios. Let's say that your first attempt with your portfolio doesn't work out the greatest, and that happens, right? That's just called another iteration. You will get feedback from ISTE, and you can resubmit a portfolio until you pass, basically. This is what a portfolio looks like. It's not anything that we have to freak out about, or we have to create this big website or some kind of this digital, like, brand new technology tool or anything like that. It's a Google Doc that you will start putting in. And so you'll see, here's the standard learner, here's the criteria, here's the artifact, and then you need to add a contextualization, which explains how this artifact is aligned with this criteria and standard. And so I talk a lot through the ISTE certification process, how to write your contextualization so that they understand it's clear, concise, and they understand how you're making those connections. So we'll help support you through this process. So through the ISTE certification process, you will learn the educator standards and how to internalize them and actually use them and apply them. Guidance in establishing personal and professional learning. Leverage technology to close educational gaps. That's super important. Design authentic digital learning environments. And then you're going to learn how to advocate for equitable access to digital tools, to digital programs, to make sure that all of your students have the opportunity to have the best possible tools and resources to support them as a learner, and more. We have a lot of fun. Create a nice, great community of learning together, and we really do have a lot of fun. So if you are thinking about the ISTE certification, you might want to consider, are you interested in professional growth? And that the ISTE standards are a roadmap for using technology to learn. I can't emphasize enough how much, when you take a look at how this aligns, those standards align, and when you intentionally look at your practice and how you are or are not meeting those standards, there's so much growth that happens. It is truly an amazing process. Who is this certification for? And we talked about this already just a little bit, but just so you know, it's really for classroom educators, coaches, library media specialists. And you can see here, it helps build a professional profile and provides a digital credential to demonstrate mastery and recognize his or her application of the ISTE standards, which defined what it means to be a 21st century educator using technology for learning. I love that. And then for leaders, remember I talked about this for leaders as well. So as you think about this, ISTE certification allows administrators to recognize educators leading the way with digital age teaching practices. ISTE certification demonstrates to leaders who have the initiative, drive, and skills needed to transform, personalize, and empower learning in the classroom and school. It offers them a way to recognize and support educators. So if our leaders know about ISTE certification and have gone through it, they will also understand how important this is for their staff. So this is what some participants are saying. They're saying this whole process has been a fantastic experience. It helped me reflect deeply on my practice. Another one said, I'm ISTE certified. Thank you so much for your help. I couldn't have passed it with you. And that's CISA 2. Our team is there for you. I recently earned my certification. Thank you for your help. It was amazing. And the ISTE certification process caused me to reflect on my teaching and create real world experiences that engage, empower my learners. Love it. If you want more testimonials, reach out and I can help support that. So this is just a quick video to share about as you are doing your certification, here's some recommendations.
Hello, this is Valerie, and I am excited to talk to you about my ISTE portfolio reflections. So I have identified a couple of key pieces that I think help me to be successful. The first one, find your portfolio posse. So my posse was the group of amazing women that I went through the face-to-face training with. We met every couple of weeks via Zoom or just via chat, sometimes just by text messages to support one another, not only just with the go get them kind of support, but also some technical support. Hey, what are you doing for this? What are you finding for that? And one of us would typically attend the ISTE portfolio information sessions and then share information. So number one, find your portfolio posse. Number two, the alignment map is fabulous. It provides you very specific guidance in terms of what the evaluators are looking for and how you can demonstrate your mastery of particular indicators. So be specific with the alignment language. Look at the question, look at the indicator, and then write your reflections accordingly so the evaluators know exactly what it is that you're sharing with them. And then finally, celebrate. So like many educators, I check my email when I can't sleep or first thing in the morning, which is maybe why I can't sleep. But anyway, my email came about 1 a.m. and it said, congratulations, ISTE certified educator or something like that. So I was excited, relieved, but the email was really welcome and celebratory, and you do then get a chance to look at your portfolio and read the feedback from the evaluators, which just helped me grow as an educator. So you can do it, go get them, and rule number one, what was it? Find your portfolio posse.
I love that. Such good advice. The other thing I just wanted to let you know is that when you do get certified, you get a badge that you can put in your email if you'd like to, or on anything on social media that says that you are an ISTE certified educator, because it is a rigorous process and it takes time and effort on your end. And it is a fabulous transformation. So you need to show off your badge. And there it is. Share your expertise with the world. All right, so now you got it. How do you know when and where to sign up? So let's go find out. I love those little guys. So some upcoming workshops. What you'll see is you'll find all the upcoming workshops on CISA 2's webpage, and it's under the ISTE Educator Certification. So this page here on the right side, you will see different cohorts that are coming up, and you'll see in April there is a cohort starting soon. So if any of you are interested, please go to our website and you will find registration information right there. I'll click right now just so that you can see. This is our live website, and you will see here on the right side, these are the different cohorts that are happening or coming up. So you'll see here, the next one is April. Go ahead and sign up for that if you're interested in completing and really working hard this summer on your portfolio. If you're interested in doing those synchronous and asynchronous pieces in the summer, this is, I either have morning or afternoon sessions you can sign up for. And then in the fall, again, I have morning and afternoon. You certainly can sign up for that and have your portfolio done for by June so that you can get a pay raise or whatever you need. And speaking of that, one thing that I did not mention yet is if anybody wants graduate credits, I can also offer credits. It is more of an expense because you'll be paying the college, and I do our graduate credits through Edgewood College. And I believe right now their credits are $195 per credit, and you can get up to 3 credits for this process. So you can think about that as well. All right. If you have any questions or comments, please reach out to me at any time. I am here for you to talk about how you want to go forward with this. And I just really want to say that I am so thankful that you took the time to watch this. Again, reach out to me. Remember, my contact information is actually in the beginning of this video, but let me tell you again, my email address is beth.clarke, C-L-A-R-K-E, there's an E at the end, at cisa2.org. So please contact me, and I'll leave you with this as we head out of this webinar.
Shout out to all my 21st century learners out there. You know how we do it. Let's go. Yo, number one, I'm an empowered learner. I set goals and pursue them with fervor. My learning is up to me, it's not passive. My brain learns best when I am digitally proactive. Number two, I'm a digital citizen. I stay safe on all the sites that I'm visiting. I use technology to make a difference. With power comes responsibility. You digging it? I'm a knowledge constructor. Number three, I carefully select and evaluate what I read. Curate media also brilliantly, and I think critically about source validity. Four, I'm an innovative designer. That means I solve problems, major and minor. Start with empathy, ideate, then prototype. Test and iterate, that method is so nice. I'm a computational thinker. Five, improving any process that I can find. Writing algorithms and testing in beta. Analyzing to find the trends in the data. I'm a creative communicator, that's six. Like I put this in a rap song to make it stick. I could use different media or tools like infographics to get my point through. Seven, I'm a global collaborator. I might connect with students way over the equator. Digital tech makes the dream come true. Had a virtual field trip with a kid in Peru. That's 7 ways that I can be a lifelong learner in this 21st century. What kind of student do I want to be? It's my path, that's up to me. That's 7 ways that I can be a lifelong learner in this 21st century. What kind of student do I want to be? It's my path, that's up to me.
I love vocabulary. What a great tool for us. Again, here's my info. If you need it, go ahead and grab my email. That's the best way to get a hold of me. And take care. Hopefully I'll see you in an upcoming cohort.